이것이 하늘의 검!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2016 League of Legends KeSPA Cup. Coming into game number 2 here after a game 1 that actually looked pretty close there for a while, even though KONGDOO Monster were ahead and stayed ahead. KEG Seoul definitely had some bright points.
Yeah, they definitely did, and I think their brightest point was Khan, who almost brought them back from the brink of death. And unfortunately, he was not able to. KONGDOO Monsters, they played well off their advantages early on and in the mid-game, but they did have a little bit of difficulty closing out. So what's going to happen in a game where maybe they don't get as many advantages early on? What happens if KEG Seoul is able to make it to the mid-game on even footing?
Right, if that first blood had maybe gone the other way and KEG Seoul start to snowball early, certainly anything can happen. Of course, seems to be fairly close. Keep in mind, KONGDOO Monster requalified for LCK after beating ESC Ever, a team that we saw be very well coordinated early on against CJ in Season 1. Let's get into game number 2, picks and bans, and see if KONGDOO can close it out, or if KEG Seoul can maybe shed some light on their future here in the KeSPA Cup.
Yeah, and last time, you know, KONGDOO Monsters banned away the Karthus and the Syndra away from Bo, and we'll see if they stick to the same thing. So, J-Span starting off their pick ban the same exact way they did last time.
Bo got a chance to play for, I think it was, he played in Challenger Series last year for Ever 8 winners, and was really, really strong there. So looking forward to seeing if maybe his champion pool doesn't go completely banned out, because now that KONGDOO Monster are back on the blue side, you know, they have the power to maybe leave Syndra up and, you know, first pick it if it's still available.
Yep, and now that they are on the blue side, as you just mentioned, the Syndra is a real threat, and so that might actually attack KEG Seoul's pick ban, because they're not going to be able to ban away exactly like they did in the game before.
Well, to talk about the bans, we did see that Karthus, the Jace ban as well, away from Khan, so not going to allow him that dominance. Nidalee is a foregone conclusion, pretty much always going to be banned out with how strong she is, even on this this current patch, 6.21. The Karma coming out here as the next ban, and final ban here for KONGDOO Monsters, all that is left for them. Really wanting to limit Bo there towards the end, and saying, hey, if we limit his champion pool, the first pick there, yeah, there's the Cassiopeia ban, and a first pick Syndra, no question. Of course, we can see that. Jump the gun a little bit on the overlay, which will show the last ban to be Olaf coming out.
And I wonder if the first pick Syndra that KONGDOO Monsters is going to elect to go with is actually going to be met with the Zilean pick, because that is also one of Bo's very liked champions, I guess. It's up there with his Karthus.
Yeah, as non-standard kind of pocket picks that might still work out for him. Hovering over it, and we can see that here on our screen, might be the answer there. Bo will lock it in. That's what we're going to see on our screen. Of course, we're a little bit ahead of you guys. I think we're about to catch up. So not to drop too many spoilers into the on the game, but it is going to be a Zilean picked up here for Khan, and Hoglet with an Ilmise. So very, very strong jungler there for Hoglet, taking it away from Punch, and with that Zilean coming out like you were talking about, might just be the pocket pick that KEG Seoul need.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how a Zilean, I don't want to call him a two-trick because he can play other champions, but he is definitely a master of Zilean. In Korean, they would call it like a Jungin. So it's a Zilean specialist up against Syndra, and I think this is going to be the first time we're going to see this matchup unfold, and we get to see actually if Zilean can stand up to Syndra, which currently no other mid laner in the game really can.
And it should be noted, I think the biggest example of Zilean just coming out and dominating, very popular mid laner, Saros plays in LJL, was known for just dominating with Zilean when nobody really knew that that was coming back. Well, this time for Bo, he might be the Korean version of that here with that pick versus Syndra. Now, when it comes down to the next few picks, KONGDOO have locked in Jhin and Rek'Sai, so still very strong champions in their own respect. Going to bring in that back to Jhin from last game. And the next two picks here for KEG Seoul, looking for maybe a Kennen in a top lane for Bo, or for Khan.
So it looks like it's going to be Kennen Ashe for KEG Seoul, and This worries me a little bit because it means that you have a lot of sources of magical damage coming out from your team comp, and that makes it very easy for Punch to also maybe pick up a Solari's Locket in addition to the support, and then just stack magic resistance. And Edge already gonna probably get that Maw now that so much magic is coming out against him.
Okay, well, I saw it on my screen. It's about to appear on yours. The last two pick for KONGDOO Monster are actually going to be a monster in its own right, the Tahm Kench for Googer. Now, Googer is a guy that we got a chance to see. I believe he used to be on the previous iteration of Najin, but bringing up the Tahm Kench, what do you think about that? I mean, into the Ash.
Well, the Tahm Kench has a lot of uses. Zillion's bomb actually doesn't deal damage if it goes off while inside Tahm Kench's belly. So if Zillion does manage to get a double bomb or just a bomb off onto anyone, Tahm Kench can actually eat him to cancel the damage. Also, it removes a lot of the pick potential that KG Soul's team comp wants to use, and then to make matters worse, they add in another champion that would add to pick potential, even though Tahm Kench was already selected.
It's hovered over, not quite locked in just yet, with just a few more seconds left on the countdown. That definitely could be the lock-in. Yeah, like you said, a very pick potential team, lots and lots of crowd control here for KEG Seoul. So if they do get into a big fight, they will be able to lock everything down. Now, not necessarily knowing what to expect from guys like Khan and Bo this time on champions that could definitely snowball and just crush their lanes, but remains to be seen. That is a lock-in on the Braum pick for Hoyt.
So one of the interesting things here from Soul is that obviously he's going to want a lot of magic resistance against KG Soul's team composition, but that will come at a cost because when you're able to stack so much magic resist, generally you want scaling HP on your yellows, but that enables Khan, who could easily go for a Doran's Blade early on, to deal a lot of physical damage, and that can cause problems up there in the matchup where we saw Khan almost saved KG Soul last match, and Ash is going to deal a lot of damage, likewise because of how KDM is forced to itemize.
Very true. Well, that's going to do it for our champion picks and bans coming into what could be the last game of the night, could be the last game for KEG Seoul. Here you can see KONGDOO Monster. Here are KEG Seoul fighting for their tournament lives with a very, very strong, potentially, pick there on Zillion. Big question mark to see how well that works out. Is it enough to save them? Can Khan carry his top lane as hard as he did in game number 1? All those questions and more about to be answered here in game number 2. KONGDOO Monster versus KEG Seoul. Lots of potential for KEG. I certainly would love to go to a game number 3, but KEG Seoul have to take us there. So as we get ready to get into our final game of the night, what are your thoughts? KEG Seoul, their lineup, is it strong enough?
I think that if they can make it into the mid-game without suffering too much damage, they have a real shot with this team.
All right, well, let's find out getting into game number 2. All right, some subdued cheers there at the end as we get into game number 2. A hashtag big fan of champions across Summoner's Rifts. We try to start things out without a 1-minute first blood, but Punch and Hoglet, they're already starting to get a little bit friendly.
Yep, and Khan just poking Roach a little bit up there.
Okay, not necessarily something I would ever really do in my life, poke a Roach. Not on the top of my bucket list, but I guess it works for Khan. He's going to actually push Echo back to base to heal up that little bit of damage, and I might actually set up for Hoglet and Khan to push in here to get some advanced information on the upper KONGDOO jungle.
Yep. Now both of these teams are actually able to eat the jungle camps relatively easily. The problem is though is that Tahm Kench gives a pretty unfair advantage at how fast they kill the camp, not even mentioning the fact that he has a Jhin. So they will arrive to lane sooner and they'll get the leg up on how they want to choose to manipulate the lane.
So deciding how they will want to manipulate it, we'll just keep an eye on this. Now, of course, Punch and Roach kind of tag teaming because they know that ward was dropped in there, just trying to keep things safe and sound. Of course, same thing going in for KEG, Seoul, Khan, and Hoglet. The top half of the map to take that camp. Now, what do you think about the setup? Of course, it's standard lanes with the new turret changes, both junglers getting a leash. What are the styles that we need to see out of both teams?
The style for KEG Seoul is definitely going to be to have a very explosive mid-game transition because their champions have faster power spikes, and if they can transition that into a lead early on, it becomes pretty difficult to recuperate from, given Zillion's ultimate. But they also have very good late game because of that Zillion ultimate, and because Ashe is going to just deal tons of damage.
Trying to do their best to push the wave as quickly as possible. KONGDOO will be on top of that, and they will actually lock down Hoyt there as well. KeG is taking the result, or the ending amount of that damage. KONGDOO dominate the wave, shove it into turret, and take that 2v2 matchup off the level 2 advantage.
Yeah, and KONGDOO Monsters team composition likewise. They have again another cookie cutter team composition, but Syndra, if she gets ahead, I don't think there's any mid laner that is as destructive as she is. And so,
for the Cocoon, they're going to catch Punch here. Edge cleansed instead of ghosted. I'm not exactly sure what he was expecting there, but he did pop the cleanse. I'm guessing he thought that was something else.
Now they're both going to back off. Hoglet wins the Scuttle Crab. And is he going to hand over blue to BBO?
I thought Bo was actually like walking there to take it, but he's actually just trying to dodge out away from Edge. It looks like that blue buff will go over to Hoglet. He's pretty low on mana, so if he wants to stay around, then I guess he can get that regen and stay in the jungle, but looks like he will be able to take that blue buff for himself.
One of the things that is neat to mention about that, though, is had Bo actually been handed the blue buff, some people might see it as Hoglet missing XP, but because of Zillion's passive, he could then just actually give Hoglet...
give it right back.
Give the experience right back.
And look at this top lane matchup. Khan versus Roach. Khan is dominating. He might actually look for the turret dive. He's going to go in for it. There's a nice flash. The flash for the turret shot. Khan's still alive. It needs one more auto attack, or maybe a little bit more there. Here comes Punch up around the corner, tunnel, oh, and he misses the knockup! Khan able to walk back away out alive.
This is actually, I mean, that was really unfortunate for KONGDOO Monsters. That would have been a very big first blood pickup, and right now, I mean, Khan is still in the driver's seat. When he teleports back to the lane is going to be in his favor. And already, I mean, he was putting a clinic on Roach up there in top.
Yeah, Roach kind of, I guess, unfamiliar with how to maybe avoid all that damage. Hoglet coming around the corner there, missing the Cocoon onto Edge. Would have most likely converted into a kill, but an unlucky trajectory there.
Yep. So now, I mean, the Zillion pick is actually doing pretty well so far, and he's going to hit level 6 soon, and Zillion doesn't actually die to Syndra pressing 3 buttons. So that
certainly does not.
Pretty good.
Yeah, a useful option to have. Another champion, Bo actually does play a little bit of his, Lysandra, also another champion that doesn't die to you just pressing a bunch of buttons onto her, if you do hit that R button quickly enough. But either way, nice to see that pick at least functioning well for both Khan and Bo. So some signs of life there, and actually a gold advantage for the KEG Seoul team, which they will need. You mentioned their earlier power spikes. That does help them hit them earlier. Maybe that's the strength that they'll need to snowball it.
Yeah, and I want to point out actually that a ping just went down to the top left of the golems, and with how Khan is slowly last hitting these minions, he's trying to accumulate a very big minion wave, and he will get level 6. So that ping actually could have been communication to say, hey, come top and we're going to dive with this minion.
Okay, now pings into the brush, maybe some uncertainty there, maybe pinging in Punch because both junglers will be walking up towards the top lane. Looks like Hoglet first to show his hand, and he will reveal that he's been scouted out. Punch just waiting calmly over the wall. I'm glad you pointed out that the pings towards the top lane, because as soon as we see these level 6 Punch, or Roach rather, not level 6 right now, with Hoglet coming around the corner and this wave being pushed in, both junglers are aware of the other. This could get a little spicy.
Yeah, and the Ash Arrow comes out to check.
Or the Hawk Shot.
Yeah.
Like, how did she hit the arrow when she's only level 5? But coming top lane, this is Hoglet's time to shine underneath the turret. Actually, away from the turret, a flash, another miss onto Roach. Still the stun's gonna come out there. Punch actually gets stunned there away as well. And there's Bo from the side there. Here comes Edge, is level 6. Bombs on the back door. Bo getting pushed back. He's stunned. It's gonna be the first blood there. Hoglet going down again. The struggle of Bo. Kon maybe looking to come back around there. Kon really wants to press this issue. Cleanse being used there. Edge very low, and it's going to be Kon to take him out. Can they turn this one? Kon very low, and it looks like he will go down there. Punch taking the kill. 3-1. KONGDOO.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, that was a beautiful setup, and they should have been able to execute it, but Hoglet, he mixes axes and he misses cocoons. And unfortunately, even though Bo was there, I think it was really impressive by Edge to just ulti early to get Zilean low, because you don't want to save your ultimate to execute someone in this scenario, because then Bo is just able to cast the ultimate and ultimately make you have wasted your spells. So really intelligent play by Edge, but ultimately this was just a mechanical failure from KeG Seoul.
Yeah, seeing Zilean die without ulting, always a little bit difficult to watch there. Kon going down there could have been so good. In the end, not so much. Now here's Bo on the bottom side. Will drop at least one. Looking for a second. Does get the dunk. It stuns you with your tongue all the way out there. Zero gravity. Cougar takes the bombs, but will stay in lane. Bo backing himself back to lane, but has to take the seat.
That was some nice poke, though, down onto Google. Definitely makes the ability to try to execute one of them much easier for this bottom lane. And he didn't lose too much from it, so not so bad of a roam. And he has those Ionian boots, which are going to be pretty big at spamming his spells, and then also his summoner spells coming back up.
Really kind of difficult, and all eyes kind of on Hoglet as really kind of underperforming for his team. Pause, though, coming out here. We'll see exactly who that was initiated by and what exactly is going on here. Pause, you know, I wish we had like tactical pauses. Like it's really hard to implement. But if you had the opportunity to say, okay, well, we, you know, there's nothing going on. We just need time to regroup our mindset. Of course, you're not allowed to talk during pauses, obviously. But if you could, you know, call that timeout, it's like you know, if you watch a lot of football, then you know the strength of being able to call these timeouts at very key moments. If you could, then it'd be a good idea to say, hey, well, you know, we just lost that big top lane engagement. You know, corral the horses, you know, circle the wagons. Let's get ourselves back together and still try to play that aggressive style that at least Kon was doing so well with.
Yep. And, I mean, touching on that right now, that would probably aid some weaker teams, but I think it would be a little bit unfair in the world of esports.
Very true. Looks like we do have an update on the pause. KONGDOO Monster's mid laner Edge, his character apparently has stopped moving. Generally a very difficult situation to find your character in, so we're going to have a short testing period to try to figure out exactly what's going on with his champion and whether or not we can get Syndra moving on up as quickly as possible. Of course, we'll keep you updated with that. She is using the frozen Syndra skin, so I guess that does maybe make her with a slight proclivity towards being frozen. But
yeah, you mentioned Lysandra earlier, so she's a little
true,
jealous.
Hey, there you go.
She's letting you know.
You know, letting it snow, letting it go, possibly.
Yeah.
Either way, we'll keep you guys updated on the status of that. Talked about earlier how there was a slight gold lead, almost 1,000 there for KEG Seoul. Now it's kind of the other way, the shoe on the other foot as the lead switches over to KONGDOO. And with 2 kills on Roach and Hoglet struggling, that might be a pressure point that could give KDM the lead.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, this match as well reiterates my feelings from Game 1 where I feel so bad for Kon. Because he handed them such a good scenario up there in the top lane, and then it just got completely botched. And you have to wonder, is it nerves getting to Hoglet? Because these skill shots, it's not even like they're close to landing. It's completely just away from the target. And Olaf in game number 1, that was part of the reason that snowball started.
Oh, exactly. It came top, and even came bottom there. The double axe miss on the gank. Not the way you want to have it happen, but looks like we might be trying to get things back and up and ready to go here as we see teams entering and leaving. So keep you guys posted there once again. A couple of other things to talk about here as we get into this game. So either way, the team that wins here will go up to the stage, draw their ball, and find out exactly where which group they'll be placed into for the semifinal or the quarterfinals as we work our way towards there. As soon as we finish this initial qualifying round for the playoffs, we will get our 2 seeded teams. That'll be Rocks Tigers and KT Rolster. So we'll get a chance to see both of them come in with the rest of the teams. And it'll be really cool to see at least their status. Of course, we got a chance to see Rocks at Worlds. KT, the team that died that Samsung might live to get 2nd place. We'll get a chance to see whether or not they are still up to their top form, or if they have any more, swaps or switches. They want to run steal in the jungle instead of score. Some question marks out there as we advance through the tournament. And then, of course, after the quarterfinals, we get into semifinals and finals, both of which will be played from the Bexco Auditorium down in Busan, South Korea. So you guys don't want to miss that. It should be an amazing spectacle, a couple of great days of League of Legends in store. And, of course, that's going to be about 5 days from now, so we'll keep an eye. 6 days. There we go. It's a 10-day tournament spread over the course of 7 game days and lots of a few breaks here and there.
And definitely looking forward to visiting Busan. Hopefully, it is warmer than Seoul, because Seoul is pretty cold right now.
Go down to the beach. You put on your swimsuit, you jump in the ocean, you jump out of the ocean immediately because it's actually so cold. And it is actually very cold here in Seoul. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and I was checking out the weather yesterday, and it's actually like a brisk 80 degrees. Like, yeah, it's not that way here. It's like -2 the other day. So speaking of things being cold and being frozen, to bring things full circle, we're still waiting on checking things out and making sure that these issues are fixed, and it does look like things are back up and running and functioning, so we should be able to get back into this game here any moment now. Things have been resolved. Looks like we are currently having a little bit of a fight here over the blue buff. It was stolen successfully, brought over the wall there by Edge, so he's been able to steal that blue buff away from both.
Yep. Oh,
top lane, wow, Khan actually trading pretty well there, even landing the clutch shuriken backwards onto Roach through the minions. Khan just really playing that matchup so well. There's a nice usage of the it's not consume there, devour.
Yep.
Cougar saving soul play.
Unfortunately, Hoyt was not. He didn't use exhaust again, and the exhaust maybe forces the flash earlier, and then you can throw your concussive flow, or even your ultimate at that point. So a little bit weird play down there in the bottom lane.
Long range stun on to Hoglet. There's the cocoon. It's going to be going forward. Edge eats one bomb. There's another bomb chasing on the spiders. But it's not going to lock him down there. Punch does get stunned. There's the knockup coming in from Hoyt. Tunnel out. Will Punch survive? There's the curtain call coming around the corner. Bo almost out of mana, so pretty useless in this fight. Soul continuing to channel his ultimate. Cougar pretty low there. He does have the gray health. He will be able to turn that on. There's a summoner heal to try to get him out alive. Gray health used, giving him a little bit of extra survivability. Exhaust is down. Punch maybe thinking about trying to come back in. KEG Soul very, very low. The double knockup, the turnaround, everyone melting as KEG Soul go down. A 1-for-3 exchange in the end. A very good team fight once again for KONGDOO.
Yep, and unfortunately, that just it's the same story over and over again, where when they do get an advantage, they manage to throw it away immediately. They overextend. But we did see, again, another glimmer of hope where they almost did win the fight, but they extended on too far, and they got way too greedy trying to execute that Jhin without any intel on where Punch or Edge were.
Yeah, and that's the greed moment right there. You can see they're kind of low. Do they go for it? Do they not? That's a no. Getting completely destroyed, teleports canceled, and it all kind of... boom goes the dynamite. If you had to figure out what body shape this game is for KEG Soul right now, it's pear-shaped, which is just how everything turned out. Not looking so good. After a couple of times, you can see they're trying to just go in, do the utmost, and try to make it work. It just falls apart at the end.
Yeah, and right now the current pause is, again, Edge is experiencing issues on Syndra, and it would be pretty unfortunate if that happened during a team fight.
Certainly would be. It's like, well, when my champion can't move, it's because, I don't know, either I'm like CC'd, but when you're CC'd without any crowd control on you, you got to get that taken care of. So that is currently what we are looking to check back into, getting him in and out of the game and making sure that Syndra can, in fact, move around. But anyway, let's actually talk about where we are. 11 minutes into the game, 2 3-for-1 exchanges off of fights that KEG Seoul has tried to make happen, tried to force, that wind up going the other way.
Yeah, and one of the main problems has been the bottom lane for KEG Seoul, because both games in a row they've been getting outplayed pretty hard, and their only saving grace so far has actually been Khan all the way up there in top lane. So unless something can happen in the mid game, I'm wondering if we're just going to see a repeat of game number 1. But we still have yet to see all of them come together, because KEG Seoul's team comp is meant to fight together. So there's still the team fighting that has yet to come.
And we haven't really gotten to see a little bit of that. The team fights have been more like KEG Seoul trying to go in. Do they go in? And they do, and then it just like goes really badly for them at the end. So maybe that's where things get turned around. We talked about maybe team compositions earlier on, and how KEG Seoul have a lot of crowd control. If they just like all pile it into one juicy ball of winning, maybe that's the way they come back. Feels a little optimistic to me, but at the same time, they were able to come back and really make that game 1 win so difficult for KONGDOO.
Yeah, and KONGDOO doesn't have the same level of advantages in this game that they had in game number 1, and it's definitely not like they can't win with a big wombo combo from the Kennen and the Zilean at later stages, but it definitely is telling the same story like game number 1, and I don't know, because now Syndra actually, just off that last team fight, she got pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, Syndra already a champion that can kind of, climb the way to the top of the mountain and just, peer down from her ivory tower of super strongness. I just made that word up, but we're hopefully going to be getting back into this game pretty soon. We've had the players reconnect, and that seems to be what alleviated the issue before. We'll give you guys a few updates as we have them coming your way. But either way, this could be the last game of the night tonight. That sets us up for more games tomorrow. It's Longzhu versus Jin Air, and then the Afrika Freaks versus MVP. Both should be relatively even matches. Jin Air previously super strong, but struggled at the end of last season. Longzhu super struggled at the beginning of last season, and then started to look a lot better. And then Freaks and MVP, those teams have a lot of potential, not only to advance to attend Intel Extreme Masters, either in Oakland or Gyeonggi, with their qualification here from the KeSPA Cup, but also just incredibly exciting teams to watch over the course of last regular LCK season.
Yeah, of course. MVP, I mean, as the season kept going on, MVP looked like a team that kept getting stronger and stronger.
Right.
And now there's been so many months off and no one's really seen them that I'm actually really looking forward to their matches tomorrow and seeing how far they've come, because near the very end of LCK, they had glimmers of brilliance where they almost looked like one of the top teams in LCK.
Right.
And we'll see if they've just taken that and brought it to a whole new level.
Oh, and even like beyond, I think he was number 5 in MVP points for last season on a team that kind of was shaky, new to LCK last season after being promoted from Challengers Korea. They came in and just actually looked so good. Beyond was above and beyond in every single one of his games. Super exciting to see that series come up. And of course, whichever one of those teams does not move on to the semifinals will, I believe, be attending Intel Extreme Masters Oakland. So, or at least having that opportunity. So, a lot in the works, a lot on the line as we continue through this tournament. Of course, last day we'll get a chance to see SK Telecom face off, get a chance to watch the other Challengers Korea representative Rising Stars Gaming play then. So, a lot of cool teams coming up in the KeSPA Cup, and always nice to kind of, have a little bit of a break after Worlds, kind of chill out and get a chance to watch tournaments like this where we get to get reacquainted with new players, see the same old teams with maybe a few new faces, and exactly how all that intermeshes. Get to see some amateur teams like the KEG representatives, and see which teams are strong, how teams are looking, reassess that over the offseason.
And even if they don't end up winning, like the new teams or something, or if the new rosters don't end up panning out, it's always fun to actually get to see talent rise up, because, I mean, already in this series alone, even if KEG Seoul doesn't win tonight or they don't make it out, Khan looks like he's worthy of actually being picked up by a team.
Well, and he actually does have a lot of experience. He was on World Elite's B teams. I think it was Academy and then Future, and then also played a little bit for, I believe, Newbie as well. So he's one of the Korean players that in the Giant Exodus went over to China, has played there on a lot of LSPL teams for a while, and then has come back to Korea. Speaking of teams that went away or players that went away to other teams, I think it was Guger, the KONGDOO support, who also went away, not to China, but to Taiwan, and played on I think it was Taipei Assassins for a while. So these players have been getting out there and they've kind of come back to Korea. Lots of experience gained through that. But I mean, talk about a player that traveled and maybe came back without a lot of that great experience was Hoglet, who went and played, or at least was on the North American Challenger Series team, Dream Team.
Right.
Didn't quite work out.
Yeah, Hoglet on Dream Team, when he was released, it was mostly surrounding that he apparently, even though he was a good mechanical player, although we haven't seen that here tonight, and that he was a good solo queue player, when it came to a team environment, he couldn't really transition any of his skills to team play, and coordinating how to work and function as a team player. And so to see him here tonight, I was hoping that maybe KEG Seoul would have a lot better coordination. Hoglet would have a nice performance, but so far that has not been the case.
Certainly has not been. Definitely kind of a weak point there. Also, Hoyt down in the bottom lane, kind of lackluster, at least in game number 1. Now, it's always difficult to say that because sometimes when you're a team that's behind, it spreads to everyone, right? If your team's behind, you can't really just individually excel. Well, unless you're Khan, who seems to be impervious to that and just keeps smashing his lane over and over again. Even currently in the game that we're watching, he's working on doubling up Roach in CS currently at 84 to 49. So he knows exactly what he's doing, how to play these great matchups, how to be very oppressive in 1v1s, but once again, when it comes to the team play aspect, a little bit shaky from KEG Seoul.
Yep, but it's always nice to see potential. So that is pretty fun.
That is true. That's when you take the object and you lift it up, you're giving it potential energy, and then when it falls back down, it uses it. This time around, that's where the analogy breaks down, because when KEG Seoul falls down, they're not going to have that potential energy anymore. I'm trying to bring all of those 5 a.m. physics classes that I had to take in college that my parents told me I would be using every day. Well, I didn't use them, but now I am, so I guess I should have listened all along.
Yep. And one of the things about this match is also KONGDOO Monsters have re-entered into LCK Summer. So this match gives a little bit of information on how strong they are and what we can maybe expect in LCK Summer. And even though they've been getting advantages and they've transitioned those advantages to early leads and okay mid-game play, I feel like the advantages that they've gained both in Game 1 and Game 2 were more so at the fault of their opponent. And so I am worried about that moving into Season 7 and LCK Spring, because I don't know if they're going to be able to get away with these type of things against the LCK teams.
Right, and even when KONGDOO Monster took over for, I believe it was for EM Fire, EM Fire at that point in the season were, I believe, 1-7, and so the change in organization was trying to be a reboot. But after they changed from EM Fire to KONGDOO Monster, they lost every single one of their games that season and went from 1-7 to 1-17 at the end. So not the reboot they were looking for. So probably need to see a better performance this time around. They have done their due diligence. They went down to Challenger, played Challenger, won their way back into LCK, but it remains to be seen exactly whether or not that is the place where they belong. Kind of like where CJ is at right now, having been relegated. They're the ones now that need to prove themselves in Challengers and win their way back. But with a performance like we saw in Game 1, or Series 1, doesn't look likely.
Yep. Roster might be in for another reboot before Challenger Series commences, because those games did not look very good at all.
Yeah, at some point, when you keep rebooting your computer, it just stops cooperating. It certainly seems like there's a lot of questions to be answered there. For KONGDOO, they're just bringing in their team that they played in Challengers that they brought back here to qualify for LCK again, and it looks okay. Certainly Roach having some struggles there with Khan, who admittedly is one of, if not the strongest member of KEG Seoul. And as far as the mid lane matchup goes, it certainly seems like Bo is very capable, even against a very difficult lane opponent like Edge. So signs of life on both sides, but some questions still left to be answered.
And one of the things about Bo as well, not just including his performance tonight, is that he has drawn that Karthus ban twice, and that's something that we talked about before KeSPA Cup started. Well, before the matches started, that whenever a player demands a ban on something, I always feel like there is something more there to be discovered. And if a player can demand a ban against professional players, but professional players don't play that champion, I always feel a little bit weird there, because it's like, all right, if you think this person is good enough to beat you with this champion, then why don't you yourself pick it up? Sort of like Liquid's brand at Worlds.
Exactly. When you force a ban out when there are only 3 bans per side, and there are so many very strong champions available, it's actually a very valuable asset to the team, especially when it comes to amateur players like the players on KEG, Chunam and Seoul. You bring in these players who are very individually skilled or are those experts at specific champions, and even though they may not have a very wide or very meta champion pool, it's still significant enough to have a positive impact on the game.
Right. But moving forward into next season, 10 bans.
Oh boy.
So maybe that type of stuff won't be as valuable. We have yet to know. But I do think that team compositions, though, in Season 7 will be very different. So that'll always be interesting. Exactly.
I look around on my map and I see no plants or fruit anywhere on the ground. Super lonely. None of those around. Also, don't have to deal with quite as many new masteries. Lots of changes coming up, but we actually have the potential of getting back into the game here, and we'll see if it is coming up momentarily. Looks like we are going to head back into game, and looks like we are working out a couple of issues here, but should be back in here and keeping an eye on exactly what is about to happen here. Now, Cougar and Hoyt support battle off here, as it looks like the ward is able to be cleared in time. And back to business as usual across the map.
And it looks like right now, Hoglet.
Still trying to see exactly what's going on here. Sorry, working out a couple of technical issues, but for right now, it looks like it might be a dive here on the bottom lane with Punch and a teleport coming in from Roach. Egoist and Hoy trying to escape, but they walk right into the deadly clutches. The rest of KONGDOO Monster. There's one kill on Egoist. Hoyt soon to fall, and an incredibly well executed teleport play on the bottom half of the map to give KONGDOO more kills and the first turret of the game.
Yeah, and that is pretty bad right now, because that's just going to extend the gold lead, and even though they're going to pick up top tier 1 turret, that is probably going to be likely to fall after a rotation.
And of course, top lane is going to go down, and there it is. So trading turrets 1 for 1, but KONGDOO aren't stopping. They're continuing to put a lot more damage down on that bottom turret, and might actually even be able to take it down as this next wave of minions takes it out. Or takes it up, they'll take it out. That's a 2 for 1 turret trade there in KONGDOO's favor.
Yeah. And now that is going to accelerate the early game quite considerably. And both teams are not really in a position to start sieging mid lane turrets. So we're just taking a quick look at this replay really quick. And as you can see, this was pretty standard 4-man that honestly KEG Seoul had no response to. And the follow-up, I think, was absolutely fantastic, and choosing to raise both turrets.
Kind of got to lift your little finger when you watch that. A super fancy gank. Certainly seems very well executed, business as usual, and looks like we're... Okay, I thought we were actually going to see more. Whoa, okay, Roach playing with fire up there against Khan. Knew that he had Punch right there, and I think Khan kind of sniffed that out at the same time. Roach wouldn't be playing that aggressive if he didn't have backup on the way.
Yep, and now even with the 6 kill advantage, though, they're ahead 3,000, well, about 4,000 gold. Some of that is inside of the tower. But again, like I was talking about, we're only 14 minutes in, so the ability to start sieging and rotating and grouping up is not yet there because they don't have the items for that.
A little bit ahead of schedule here, still waiting on those items to come in, and with an 8-2 score and the gold starting to pile up in KONGDOO's favor, those earlier power spikes might not just come in time. Punch, of course, all over the map. 4-0-3, a super asset to his team, whereas Hoglet still struggling out there, but has been able to pick up that kill for himself earlier. Not necessarily redeeming himself totally, but Soul trying to get back on the same page and find themselves a way back into this game. Yeah,
and again, this is sort of showing the problems that KDM had a little bit in game number 1, where yes, there's not really an opportunity to group up and start team fighting yet. I still feel like they could be doing stuff with that Jhin and rotating him around to start using the curtain call to, well, now they're doing it.
Well, there it is, right behind the Bo will revive. Okay, that actually looked like he was not going to get the revive off in time, but he'll revive, he'll clear out the minion wave, and all in all, a good turret defense.
Yep. And they're going to be rewarded, though, with a Mountain Drake, so it was not in vain. So that is a pretty good pickup. KONGDOO Monster sure love their Mountain Drakes.
They certainly do, and of course Mountain Drake probably don't like them quite as much. They keep killing them over and over again. That will be the first dragon of the game going over to KONGDOO. Cougar, a little bit rough walking right into that cocoon, but he's Tom Kench, he's okay, he's out, he's alive, and that's a first dragon of the game, like we said. 15 minutes, and not a whole lot that hasn't gone KONGDOO's way.
Yep. And right now Hoglet is trying to maybe get some vision, but he can't really do anything right now. He doesn't threaten any sort of damage. He's still a little ways away from having his Proto Belt. Loses the Smite fight, and he might actually even die now.
Ooh, it's going to drop right back down. There's the flash, the unburrow, and no way to escape the right click from Edge.
And now BBO.
Oh, okay, sickest dodge. Hoyt's there for the defense. Okay, a triple stun from the bomb. A little bit of deterrence coming in there. Bo does have his ultimate back off of cooldown, so even if he does die here, he'll be able to revive.
Yeah. Merlin Almacon out though for Syndra, so
teleport from behind. The flank coming in from Khan, looking to get this in. There is Hoyt with a big engage. Khan jumping right into the middle of the enemy team. Tries to take down Cougar, but it's just not enough damage, and now Khan won't be able to make it back out alive, and he will die. He'll get revived there from Bo, which might still result in his untimely demise. It will. Roach going for the deep dive, and that will be a 4-for-0 exchange. KONGDOO crushing down Seoul to take a 13-2 advantage.
Yep, and I mean, Hoglet might just
Hoglet, Hoglet, there's Repel. Okay, Itsy Bitsy Spider survives going down the water spouts. That's not the way the nursery rhyme goes, Hoglet. You're messing me up here, but he is going to avoid messing himself up at least and be the sole surviving member of the team.
Yep, and not really much going to happen though. His entire jungle will be taken away from him. So not much for him to do really. And I mean, once KONGDOO Monsters comes off of this recall, they are all pooling so much gold right now.
Need to head back to base and see if they can spend that off. That's going to be so many huge item power spikes. You can see recalls coming in. It's going to be a Spirit Visage completed. And let's take another look here at Khan, who actually had a great flank.
Yeah, he had a pretty good flank. I don't know if the flash was necessary because Edge should have been the target, but he just doesn't have enough damage yet to really get any sort of executes off. And honestly, it's just KeG Soul is too far behind for these type of plays to work, but these are the plays that would have won them the game if they were on even footing, but they're not.
Back to live, we see Hoglet once again in Struggle Town. He is caught out, backing off, low health, and forced to head back to base. So Metal Seed controlled the upper jungle here to KONGDOO, who will look to put in some deep ward coverage. They actually already have some deep wards up there that are working out great. Khan still just trying to salvage this game for his team.
Yep. And he's been basically the shining star for KeG Soul. But even, I don't think Kennen is going to be able to actually bring it back the same way Fiora could have, like in game number 1.
I mean, winning 1v1s was Khan's way back into game 1, but with Kennen, you know, you're the champion that wants to group up these big team fights, not necessarily keep on the split push. Maybe if he did, might still be able to win it, just a different kind of style here as we look to start things up again. A big stun there thrown in from Edge. Cougar right on top of everything, and the curtain call on top of it all. Bo back to the back line. Will he be able to save Hoyt? No, Cougar takes him out there, and it's going to be the same story for Egoist as well. He will drop, and now Hoglet. Oh, Hoglet. Okay, well, Edge as a decent casualty of war, but with the exhaust on Hoglet, see if he can escape. He will. Roach, though, going deep behind the turret. Here comes Khan, though, and he's going to be able to turn it back around. Roach down, Hoglet still alive, just barely avoiding that deadly flourish, but will get sniped off by the Prey Seeker.
Oh, and there's that deny on the Zillion bomb.
Oh, turns it back around. He's got one bomb. Can he find a second? When he does, he'll get the stun. The Grey Health. Will it be enough? It is just barely. Cougar survives, and another Prey Seeker kill for Punch.
Oh man, these team fights are so bloody, but it's like KONGDOO has so many advantages, and yet these team fights are getting so close.
Heartbreaking just for KSL. Asher comes out, misses, perfect Jin ult to start this fight.
Yeah, the Jin ultimate positioning was absolutely fantastic because KeG was just trapped inside of their own jungle, and having to use the Zillion ult on Ashe there was probably not what they wanted. Hoglet was able to get a turnaround onto Edge and execute him, and I think that was mostly because Cougar didn't expect the damage, so the exhaust came out a little bit late. So they did pick up some stuff in that fight, but they're still down almost 10,000 volts.
Okay, Hoglet, let's just be real here. Lance the Cocoon tries to go in and punch, so strong at this point, incredibly tanky, and doesn't afraid of anything.
Yep, and he wins the Smite fight yet again.
Certainly not afraid of spiders right now, or missing smites, both things he is pretty on top of. And KONGDOO just rampaging through this upper jungle, taking out wards as they go, and really just slowly, methodically, sometimes quickly and methodically, but always methodically, making their way downtown and through every objective.
It just feels like Punch actually doesn't take damage right now, and he basically doesn't because he has so much magic resistance and so much HP, and the amplified healing coming out of Spirit Visage is too much for the small amounts of damage that the AP damage dealers on KG offers right now.
Yeah, every time he burrows, he's just going to heal that back off from the rage, and it's like, well, what'd you do to me? He's 907, strongest player in the game right now. Not a whole lot is going to stop that punch. He's like infinite punch, man, because it takes so much to kill it. That's my desperate attempt at an anime reference.
This is the problem of a pick composition against Tahm Kench, and that's why when they continued to add on with the Braum as their final pick, it was a little bit bizarre, because the Ashe ult, you can't even use it right now if Tahm Kench is hugging someone.
And we've seen Egos try to throw that out. Sometimes he gets blocked by Cougar. Sometimes Cougar saves the guy he hits. Sometimes he just misses altogether. So the Ashe pick pretty completely countered here. KONGDOO very capable of playing against that. Now, Khan versus Roach. It's Roach who's coming out on top. While he might have been maybe a little bit weak in the 1v1 now, he is certainly the one on top. Pushing in on this inhibitor turret. Not feeling too much pressure.
Yep. And this is one of the problems with Kennen versus Echo, is that,
oh, okay, whoa, Roach going deep for the utmost. There's the Ashe arrow. Can he turn it back around there? Roach, not a whole lot of counterplay, and Egoist cleans it up.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good trade if they can find a way to deny this Baron or steal it. So it's Hoglet's time to shine.
Oh, Hoglet, you played your games, but now it's time, wow, to go in.
Feeling confident.
Okay, all right, well, the mere pressure of a tiny Hoglet.
That looks actually very strange because, I mean, if you're going to be afraid of a Smite fight when you've won them all game long, then what is really happening inside of the comms right now?
I guess you can kind of say, well, this is the way we lose the game, so just better safe than sorry.
Sure, but then why start the Baron at all? It doesn't really make much sense. I mean, Dragon was up on the map, so these are the late game transitioning macro problems that KONGDOO Monsters have been exhibiting.
And if these problems continue to follow them through maybe KeSPA Cup and certainly into next season of LCK, those are the things that some of the best teams in the world here in Korea will be able to definitely capitalize on. So not just about winning the games, but it's about the form that you show. And it certainly looks like KONGDOO, they do have their ducks in a row, their eggs in the basket. I'm not sure about that analogy, but they're doing well. Still some areas of improvement.
Yep. And right now it's just going to be a big turtle fest for KEG Seoul, and KONGDOO Monsters definitely needs to find a way to secure that Baron, as there's not many outer turrets remaining, just the one up there in top lane.
I'm sure somewhere out there is actually a turtle fest. People have attended that at some point. I'm not sure necessarily what you celebrated at Turtle Fest, but maybe somebody out there can let me know. I'm woefully ignorant in that regard. either way, the turtling, the turtliness, KONGDOO, definitely enough for the Turtle Club if that's what they want to join. Punch. He's like the turtliest turtle of them all. Hoyt barely surviving. The Cougars going deep for it. Can Hoyt survive? No. Will get ticked down there. Deadly flourish at the end. The captive audience, rather. Egoist stunned over the wall, and he's gonna get taken down by Punch.
Yep, and I mean, Bo actually had teleport, and he wasn't using it, so he was pretty late to arrive there. Unfortunately, that damage will be negated. And just 2 more picks for KONGDOO Monsters.
Yeah, and the strong get stronger. Monsters, indeed. I think I'm now no longer allowed to say the word wall. That was not quite the way I meant for that to come out there. Not quite the way Egoist meant for things to transpire either, as he did get taken down. Safe inside, or I guess not so safe inside. All right, here we go. Throwing out the spheres. Another instant cleanse there from Edge. Will he still go down? Saved by Cougar. There's the bombs on the back door. Still a bomb on Edge. Is there enough damage? No! Edge denies death again. Roach in the back line. How strong is this guy? He's in essentially a 3v1 trying to juke jive and just stall for the rest of his team to get that Baron buff. They will. Roach.
There's an Ash arrow.
Oh my god! Okay, alright, I'm just speechless. Roach and really the entire KONGDOO team have been living this entire game with no deaths at 2 HP. Not allowed. But he did die to Baron though, so not sure if that was necessarily Edge's time to shine.
So, okay, we're going to take a look at this again. So Hoglet actually lands the cocoon, Edge misses the execute onto Hoglet, and then Hoglet flashes even though Bo has ultimate. So, miscommunication again, why are you going in if you don't assume that you're going to be ultied? And then Roach tying them up while the Baron was able to be finished off, but Bo was able to pick up a kill thanks to Baron, but it didn't really matter in the end. And you can see Egoist in the background, he has Ash ulti, and he never shot it.
Maybe just expecting that Tom Kench would save, but even at the same time, you got to go for it at that point. That's what your team needs. You're committing to the fight, and Egoist on a different page, apparently.
Different page, indeed. Maybe even a different book, if we've been watching these 2 games. But, I mean, at this point, 13,000 gold lead, and final siege coming up onto the top tier 2 turret.
Oh, Hoyt. Bo sitting right there will revive him with that Zillion ultimate. Teleport coming in here from Khan. Canceled, even though that would have been a decent flank, and Hoglet, what on earth? Going down again. Parallel convergence coming in, won't catch, but a nice turnaround. Okay, that's the turnaround. The Dream Team Wombo combo, but it's not going to be enough there. Hoyt almost dying, just barely survived. He's ticking down. He's not going to die there to the Deathfire touch. So much damage turned around there as Egoist turns it around for a kill himself. Roach Punch the sole surviving members of KONGDOO to make it out alive.
Khan with an immaculate ultimate right there actually just kept them in the game, and KONGDOO Monsters with a 13,000 gold lead found a way to botch a team fight. And just look at this. So Cougar ults in to this team fight, and then Khan with a 4-man ultimate, and exhaust goes off onto Edge to negate a huge chunk of his damage, and then Bo's Zillion bombs just doing work.
You think of the ideal situation for KEG Soul to fight in, and it's that. It's every single Wombo combo right on top of each other, Ash there to clean things up at the end, and that's the way back into the game. Now, I mean, it's still 22-9, so not necessarily back in just yet, still down 10k gold, but I mean, one step at a time, right?
One step at a time, indeed. And another dragon coming up here in a minute and a half, and it definitely looks like KONGDOO Monsters probably going to be the ones to get that again. But, I mean, if they can keep taking team fights like that with the cannon ultis followed with the Zillion ult, they still have a chance at, you know, winning this game.
Bo trying to escape the stun from Syndra, needs to ult himself, but just doesn't have the time.
Yeah, and him going down there will probably mean the fall of the top tier 2 outer turret. So it is remaining. Where
Punch and Edge are on their way to. Another stun just barely misses Hoglet. And wow, some struggles there. Hoglet specifically, 2 and 6 so far against Punch, the guy that we talked about as that being the big discrepancy. 10-0-10. If you're in binary, you can still say that score. He is incredibly strong right now, and Doesn't look like he's going to stop anytime soon. Now, KEG Soul maybe setting up for a dream engage. Again, there is the final hour, or not the final hour, it's the curtain call. Trying to find anything they can.
And meanwhile, in bottom lane, Roach has found his way into the base, and that's pretty problematic. Bo is up now, though, and he has joined the fight up there in top lane.
Trying to crack this top lane turret there. Lots of damage down. The stun to follow through there. Catching Bo. Looks like Edge might want to follow. So low. Cougar very low as well. He'll be able to get back to the fight and stay alive there. Huge turnaround stun. Here comes Khan again. We'll be able to take out maybe Edge. He's going to look for it. He does find it. He's got a double kill. He might be looking for more. Bombs on the back door, and that's going to be a kill there. Coming back the way of Bo. In the bottom lane, though, Roach is just going to town, and he'll be able to take down this bottom inhibitor.
Yeah, but my question is where was Roach while that was all happening? Because if they win that team fight, it's 2 open inhibitors, and you have 2 minion waves already inside the base of KEG Soul. So what is he doing? So we see this team fight start, and Cougar too far forward, almost ends up getting executed. Not quite, though. Bo manages to escape, and then Khan again manages to find his way into the enemy team. Cougar couldn't quite save Edge, but Soul right there at the end, able to pick up 1 more kill at least, and Roach picking up the bottom lane inhibitor turret, but it's not quite the victory that they want.
I mean, you got to take what you can get, right? So certainly, I guess, beneficial for KEG Soul, but losing that inhibitor, really the worst inhibitor to lose because you have to be so far away from Baron to defend it if you don't have things like that teleport available. You can see with that those team fights that KEG Soul has been winning, only a 300 gold power play for KONGDOO Monster. So, I mean, they're staying in it.
Yeah, I mean, they're staying in it, and they are staying ahead right now. But I mean, it's the same thing as game number 1. Gigantic gold deficit for KEG Soul, and yet they keep winning team fights. And I mean, if game 1 was any sort of an indicator, then that would suggest that maybe Hoglet and Egoist are going to find a way to just die at a random moment.
Well, you never know. There's Hoglet chasing Roach. I don't know about that one. I look on like Instagram, I see the tiny little hoglets, but they're just there to look cute, not to jungle well in a professional setting. So maybe we need to stick to that. But blue buff being taken away, top lane, Roach is totally fine, and KONGDOO now look to formulate a push that'll take yet another inhibitor.
Yep. And looks like they are amassing a siege up there in the mid lane, so probably expect a Jhin ulti very soon to try to push off KEG Soul. And unfortunately for KEG Soul, this time they do not have flash up on Kennen, so it's not going to be as easy for him to get in on the team. And there's that ultimate.
Yeah, these final hours, or curtain calls rather, I don't know why I keep calling it final hour. My bad on that one, but curtain calls coming out, at least the last few have been kind of ineffective from Soul, but pretty much just zoning, trying to crack this base. Turret will fall, inhibitor under fire, and KEG Soul really unwilling to commit for the save. The teleport coming in, here's the flank from Khan. He's got a great flank opportunity, arrow hitting Soul, but he's bodyguarded by Edge and Cougar. Teleport now in for Roach. They're trying to turn this back around. It's Hoglet that's caught. Bo coming in from the backside. Can he land these bombs onto Soul? The second one dodged away from it. Soul in there with a kill. Now Bo will be able to revive, so he's not dead just yet, but okay, there we go. And that's the foregone conclusion. Egoist off to the side does have to be careful. Khan looking for a flank, but he's scouted out there off to the other side. And KONGDOO pushed into the base, now defended by only Hoyt, who's just barely able to survive his way back to the fountain.
Yeah, and it looks like that will probably be the game as the final Nexus turret is poised to fall, and then they can just right-click the Nexus, and there's nothing that Khan or Igor is going to be able to do about it. Okay. Well,
that's going to do it.
That's going to be the game.
All right, kind of slow and steady there, but quickly to follow things up. That is game 2 win and a 2-game series. KONGDOO Monster come out on top 2-0 over KEG Soul.
Yeah. And if there's anything for me to take away from that series, it's that KDM were able to get advantages, and they were able to transition the advantages slightly, but moving forward into this tournament, when they start to collide with LCK teams, I think we're really going to see what's going to happen to them. And for me, KEG Soul, if there's top lane talent somewhere. It's inside of Khan right now. And then honestly, Bo had a pretty okay performance as well that game.
And I'm not sure exactly how the contract situation works, but I can't imagine it'd be very difficult for teams out there looking for top lane talent to watch teams like the KEG teams from Seoul and Chunam, some of the amateur teams here, and really during this offseason, use this as an opportunity to scout for additional talent there. Lots of substitutes being fielded, and so lots of players out there to be analyzed. So nice to see some strengths out there. Certainly Punch, stellar performances both games, and even though we saw Roach kind of get dominated in game number 1, he actually came back and held his own pretty dominantly there in game number 2, even going for the Wits and Trinity Force build, a little bit stylish on that Echo. So now we're going to throw it over to the main stage, to Kyung and our final words with the group stage drawing. The KONGDOO Monster coach MC. See exactly where he places his team as we get into the playoff bracket. Here we go, drawing the big red ball. Let's open it up and see what's inside. Looks like 4 is the choice for MC. And I think that's the Rocks Tigers group. We'll see exactly where that does put him. Looks like 4 is going to put him with KT Rolster. So still certainly very, very strong opponent to be seeded into. So asking MC, how do you feel? MC responding with, I think that game went pretty well. His next question to be asked to him is, MC saying, I think it's a good opportunity as the Challengers champions to, go over to fight the LCK champions in KT, his former. Now, on reflection on today's match, he says, I feel like the players played good games. He said he felt like the players started enjoying themselves a little bit too much there towards the mid game, so maybe that's an area to improve on. And now we're going to head over here to our MVP interview. Should be coming up immediately following that group stage drawing. As soon as we get back over here, just going to announce our next matches coming in for tomorrow. It's Longzhu versus Jin Air Green Wings and the Africa Freaks versus MVP.
Yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to actually both of those matches, but mostly MVP. I really want to see how far they come.
Absolutely. Beyond got his Twitter back, and he's going to be ready to go for tomorrow. But let's head into our MVP interview. It's going to be over with KONGDOO Monsters support player, Googer. Saying congratulations to Googer on his performance, saying you had some really strong early games in both matches, particularly game 1 when you came out with that first blood. So maybe does that mean that you guys had a good feeling coming into the stadium today?
되게 오랜만에 경기긴 했는데 상대팀이 이제 아마추어 팀이다 보니까 저희가 일단은
Cougar saying, nodding and saying it's been a while since we played, but we were playing against an amateur team, so we kind of expected to win a match like that. Now a question about the shot calling and his partnership with their jungler, Punch. Cougar says, usually I'm the one kind of leading my team around, including my jungle and AD carry, and that's kind of where our focus has been in terms of shot calling, and I think it's working pretty well. Now turning to questions from Captain Jack and Helios. Captain Jack asking, now you had such a big lead in the first game, did you ever start doubting yourself when things started to go south in the mid game? Cougar saying, we had such a good atmosphere since we were winning so hard, and I have to admit that our atmosphere did falter a little bit, but we kind of recollected ourselves and said, let's play this out slowly, let's play this calm, and it looks like it worked out in the end. Helios also asking, about Roach's plays at the tower in the first game.
과정에서 로치 선수의 반응이 아니면 뭐 미안해라던가 이런 게 좀 많이 궁금합니다.
Also referring to the solo kills, how did Roach react to those underwhelming moments?
많이 나와서 저는 이제 이 순간 되게 익숙하거든요. 저도 상관없다. 그냥 잘 못 뛰고만 있어요.
And Cougar saying, actually, I'm kind of used to it. Roach has been dying a lot recently, so we're kind of used to it. But we encourage each other and try to encourage him to improve. And Roach kind of admits it sometimes and just tries to have a good attitude and keep going. Captain Jack asking, saying, you're kind of like Core JJ in a way because you used to be an AD carry and now you play support. Do you sometimes maybe feel inspired by players like Core JJ after his great performance at Worlds? And Cougar saying, yes, Core JJ going to Worlds, going to the finals, getting a lot of attention as a support. And it really makes him feel like, I really want to do that. I want to do the same thing. So shout out to Core JJ. Helios pitching in and asking and saying, hey, you actually used to be on the same team as Core JJ. Helios did. Used to be on the same team as Core JJ. And Helios saying, you know what, if Core JJ was the support on Dignitas, I feel like we could have gone to Worlds.
개인적인 의견입니다. 일단 답변 주시고요.
So Cougar being asked, so what if Core JJ transitioned to support sooner? Maybe on Dignitas. And Cougar kind of saying, going back to compliments and saying, well, Helios, you weren't so bad yourself, so I think Core JJ could have stayed as AD carry on that team. So it's not a bad choice to change your position. But right now I feel like Helios is experiencing some success on his own as a caster. So closing out the interview, what are your thoughts heading into the next round of the KeSPA Cup? Cougar is saying, this is the last tournament before we head into our LCK season, so we're going to try our best to make the most of it. And that's it for our MVP interview, and that will do it for the games to be played here today. So congratulations once again to KONGDOO Monster and to ESC Ever, our two teams that will advance. So we're going to start saying goodbye. Alright, so here we start waving, saying our goodbyes. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow for our next matches. Thanks for watching.
You burn so bright, you burn me up tonight.